I never thought that moving into what looked like a calm, quiet neighborhood would turn my everyday life into something straight out of a nightmare. But Karen Mitchell, the self-appointed HOA president, made sure that peace didn't last. The first red flag came the moment I noticed her standing across the street, hiding behind oversized sunglasses, gripping a clipboard, whispering angrily to herself as I opened the gate to my new house. "Hey you!" she yelled before I even had a chance to wave. "Do you have any idea the chaos you could bring into this community?" I stopped cold, still holding a box of paperwork I had just picked up from the delivery truck. "Chaos?" I asked carefully, unsure if I'd heard her right. Karen's face tightened instantly. "Yes. You and your pets. You don't get to bring whatever you want into this neighborhood without approval." I was stunned. I owned a therapy cat named Luna. She was small, quiet, gentle, and officially registered by my doctor as part of my treatment plan. She wasn't loud, destructive, or breaking any HOA rule. But to Karen, nothing counted unless she personally approved it. Later that afternoon, I let Luna step onto the small patch of grass in front of my house while I watered a few plants. Barely a few minutes passed before Karen suddenly appeared at my door, as if she'd been waiting for this moment. "Excuse me," she snapped loudly, her voice carrying down the street. "Why is that animal outside? It's clearly unapproved and could be dangerous." Luna stretched and yawned, curling her tail and completely ignoring Karen. I stepped forward, keeping my voice steady. "This is Luna. She's my therapy cat. She's registered, trained, and not bothering anyone." Karen pressed her lips together. "Registered or not, rules are rules. I won't allow unregulated pets in this neighborhood. I'm calling animal control right now." Disbelief hit me hard. Karen had conveniently ignored the part of the HOA rules that clearly exempted therapy and service animals. Her selective enforcement was well known. I pulled out my phone and started recording, just in case. Within 20 minutes, 2 animal control officers arrived. Karen looked thrilled as she pointed at Luna, acting as if the cat had committed a serious crime. "This is a violation," she insisted. "I want this handled immediately." The officers stayed calm. One crouched down as Luna sniffed him and rubbed against his hand. The other reviewed my paperwork and confirmed Luna's status as a registered therapy animal. "Ma'am," one officer said calmly to Karen, "this complaint is invalid. This animal is protected under state law. Filing false complaints can lead to penalties." Karen's mouth opened, then snapped shut. "I was just enforcing community standards," she muttered, her confidence fading. I nearly laughed. This was the same woman who fined neighbors over crooked garden gnomes, slight color changes, and welcome mats. Now she was the one under the microscope. "You understand," the officer continued, "that filing an unwarranted complaint can result in a citation or fine against you." Karen's sunglasses slipped down, revealing nervous eyes darting around. She rambled about misunderstandings and protecting the neighborhood, but it was already too late. Before leaving, the officers issued her a citation for filing a false complaint. From my porch, I watched her walk away, her face twisted with anger and embarrassment. She muttered threats about rules and enforcement, but this time, the neighbors were watching her instead. That night, I sat quietly with Luna curled up on my lap, thinking about the day. Karen had spent hours obsessing over a harmless therapy cat, convinced she was saving the neighborhood from disaster. Luna, meanwhile, had done nothing but nap in the sun, completely unaware of the drama she caused. It became clear this was just another example of Karen's pattern. She lived for control, for power, for enforcing rules on everyone else. But this time, she went too far, and for once, it backfired. Today was the moment the rules finally turned on her. Sitting back with my coffee as the sun dropped low, something became clear to me. Living under Karen Mitchell's constant watch had drained everyone. But every time she crossed the line, every time she pushed too far, she created her own evidence. Proof that could be recorded, challenged, and used to show the neighborhood that her grip on power was not absolute. Luna rested calmly in my lap, purring softly, reminding me that logic and fairness still had a place here, even in a neighborhood ruled by HOA Karens. Still, I knew better than to celebrate too soon. This wasn't the end. It was the opening move. By the next morning, the street felt different. People were talking. The news had traveled fast. Karen Mitchell, the strict rule enforcer everyone feared, had been officially fined for filing a false complaint against my therapy cat, Luna. When I stepped outside with her leash, neighbors who once avoided eye contact now smiled as we passed. For the first time, the attention wasn't on me. It was on her. Karen didn't handle it well. She stood in her driveway with her arms folded tight, staring like she could force me to disappear. "This is outrageous," she yelled. "Rules are rules, and somehow you think you're above them." I stayed calm, letting Luna sniff my hand. "Ma'am, the rules cover therapy animals too. Luna is registered, certified, and approved. Your complaint had no basis." Her face went red. "I was protecting this neighborhood," she snapped. "Someone has to keep order." Luna stayed relaxed, unaware of the tension. The situation was almost unbelievable. The same woman who fined people over tiny details, measured hedges down to the inch, and controlled holiday decorations was now facing consequences from her own system. Trying to save face, Karen paced in front of her house, muttering about loopholes and exceptions. Clutching her clipboard, she suddenly looked smaller, like reality had finally caught up to her. Over the following week, everything shifted. Neighbors who had stayed quiet for years began to speak up. One challenged the heavy fines over paint shades. Another questioned her mailbox rulings. I even saw her on a video call with the HOA board, visibly rattled as proof of her behavior stacked up against her. Luna became well known almost overnight. People waved as we walked, joking that Karen had finally learned she couldn't control everything. Even the mailman leaned in one day and whispered, "That cat really changed things." Then came the HOA meeting. Karen sat at the head of the table, trying to stay composed, but the confidence she once had was gone. I arrived early with Luna in her carrier and noticed how tense Karen became every time I moved. A board member opened a folder and said, "Karen, your complaint against Mr. Collins' therapy cat was unjustified and resulted in a fine. This behavior has to stop." Karen started to speak, then stopped. She shifted, repeating excuses about good intentions, but the board didn't bend. I felt a quiet sense of relief. Accountability had finally reached her. After the meeting, Karen avoided me completely. That evening, I walked Luna through the neighborhood in peace for the first time in months. The pressure was lighter now. Everyone understood that Karen's word was no longer final. She might still try to push limits, but the balance had changed. The community had learned that fairness mattered more than authority. As Luna chased a leaf across the lawn, I watched closely. Karen's control wasn't gone, but it had been cracked. And somehow, the neighborhood's therapy cat had won. Not through force, but by simply existing within the rules. For now, calm had returned, and Karen had learned a hard truth: even HOA Karens are not above the law.